You've rested, and you already know it won't matter because you've done this before. By week 3 of September, you're crashing anyway. September doesn't ease in, it arrives. New school year, new activity schedules, work picking back up the second everyone's back from vacation. And just when you need to be fully present on every front, you get a patchwork of school holidays. So you're piecing together childcare for the days school is closed, while work has no flexibility left to give. You protected this summer. You actually rested this year, and it still won't be enough. Rested, still crashing anyway. I used to think if I guarded this summer hard enough, unplugged, rested, I'd walk into fall feeling different. I even planned our vacations for August on purpose, so the recovery would land right before back to school. But the September my younger son started middle school, rest didn't offset the worry. I wasn't tired. I was doing math on locker sizes and 8th graders, genuinely worried he was small enough to get shoved into one, and coaching him on using his speed to run away if it happened. Rested and wired is still wired, because what was draining me wasn't in my body, it was in my head. Today, I'll show you why rest was never going to save you from this fall and what the actual drain is. Because September isn't the finish line, it's the on-ramp to the holidays. And if there's an emotional leak running in the background by the end of September, you'll hit November with nothing left in reserve. Let's fix that before it starts. Here's the belief I want to challenge. If you recharge enough this summer, you'll have enough energy for the fall. That belief feels completely logical. Reset is what the wellness world prescribes, including me. Exhaustion is the symptom, so more recovery must be the fix. You protected the summer, you did it right, and that belief still won't save you. It's incomplete, and it's why you're about to repeat this exact pattern again. Of course you believe this. Every message about burnout points to the same diagnosis. You're depleted because you didn't rest enough. So rest more. That's a reasonable conclusion. The evidence even supports it. When you do rest, you feel better. So you went all in this summer, and you should have. That part wasn't wrong. But here's what happens when you stay inside this belief. You keep optimizing the rest while the actual drain keeps running. You sleep well, you vacation well. You arrive at September genuinely feeling recovered. And by week 2, you're back in the same place. And this time, you can't even blame the summer because you did everything right. That's the most demoralizing version of this cycle. Because now you don't just feel exhausted, you feel like there's something wrong with you. Rest wasn't built to fix this alone. Rest refills your physical tank. It doesn't touch an emotional leak. And the leak isn't fatigue. It's the inner critic running worst-case scenarios before the day even starts. The mental math on whether your kid can handle their new school. The background hum of whether you'll have enough capacity when work accelerates and home doesn't slow down. The constant, quiet calculation of what falls apart if you're not holding it all together. Rest alone doesn't plug the leak. The hypervigilant worry restarts on its own, fresh each morning, no matter how well you slept. That kind of drain doesn't happen in your body. It happens in your head. And it runs on both fronts. At home, before the school year even begins, and at work, the moment everyone returns from vacation and the pressure picks back up, a fiscal year closing, a big initiative launching, whatever your version of back to full speed looks like. So if the belief doesn't change the pattern, what do? You'll rest again next August. You'll protect the summer again. And by week 3, you're back, wondering why it didn't work this time either. The drain isn't a rest problem. It's an emotional energy problem. And once you know where the leak actually is, you can fix it before November instead of arriving at the holidays running on empty again. You already know what this feels like. You're loading the dishwasher or driving to pick up one of your kids, and out of nowhere, you're 3 moves deep into a problem that hasn't even happened yet. That's the math you can't stop doing. Not multitasking, not just a busy mind. A specific, nameable thing your inner critic runs on repeat. And once you can see it happening, you can actually interrupt it. I was making dinner, chopping something, stirring something, half watching what was ever on the stove when it hit. My older son was starting high school the following week. And for the first time since he was born, there was going to be a gap in his day with no adult attached to it. School would let out, and he wasn't due at soccer practice for almost an hour. He and his friends would walk to the convenience store for a snack. No teacher, no coach, no me. I wasn't doing anything related to him in that moment. I was just making dinner. And an event that hadn't even happened yet was taking up mental energy. And somewhere between the chopping and the stirring was already running through everything that could happen in that hour. Would he actually be with his friends? Would he cross the intersection safely? What if something happened and he had no way to reach me? No way for me to reach him? That last one got me to act. I got him a phone that week, not because he asked for one, not because his friends had one, but because I needed a way to reach him and for him to reach me before that hour ever became real. Notice what actually happened there. I wasn't with him. Nothing had gone wrong. Nothing had even started yet. But my brain spent real energy as if it had, running scenarios, calculating risk, solving problems that didn't exist yet. That's the math you can't stop doing. A hyper-vigilant inner critic treating a hypothetical like an emergency. Doesn't matter if it's a big transition like this one or just the ordinary chaos of a new school year. The math runs the same way. The bill comes due whether or not anything actually happens. And here's the part that makes this worse. That same math doesn't stay contained to one part of your day. Let me show you where else it's running. You'd think leaving the house would at least change the channel. It doesn't. Same math, different building. The same engine that ran at the stove runs at your desk, just pointed at different questions. Will that high-impact project go to a coworker instead of me? Did that comment in the meeting mean something? Is my name on the list when the promotion decisions land? I had a client whose company was acquired. She knew she'd have a job. That part was settled. What wasn't settled was which position and whether it would advance her career. So she kept doing her old job in the meantime, except it didn't feel like her job anymore. It felt like busy work, disconnected from whatever was actually coming. Then came the relocation requirement. Everyone would eventually move to headquarters within 12 to 18 months. Except she couldn't trust who actually meant it when they said, "Sure, I'll relocate." Plenty were saying that just to keep their options open, while quietly job hunting elsewhere. In the middle of all of this, she applied for open positions at the new company, and she was told she wasn't the right fit. It made her question whether she was valuable to the new company at all. Before she got that answer, notice what she was already carrying. Nothing had been decided. No one had told her she wasn't valued. But the not knowing did what it always does to a hypervigilant mind. It filled in advance, with the worst available story. Then the rejection actually came, real this time, not hypothetical. But it didn't end there. She kept replaying it, turning it over, wondering what it meant about her, what she should have done differently, whether it confirmed something she'd feared all along. She paid for that rejection twice, first when it happened, and then in the lingering self-doubt it created. If this is hitting home for you, tap like before we keep going. So the math runs at home. It runs at work. If naming it doesn't stop it, what actually does? There's one move that interrupts it in real time, and it's simpler than you'd expect. So if the math runs at home and it runs at work, what actually stops the leak before it drains you all the way to November? Not more rest. You already proved that doesn't touch it. Not reassurance. You've already told yourself it'll probably be fine 100 times, and it hasn't stopped the spiral once. There's one specific move that interrupts the math in real time, and it's the difference between hitting the holidays already on empty or hitting them with something left. The interrupt isn't stop worrying. You can't outwill a hypervigilant mind. You've tried, it doesn't work. The interrupt is a sort activity. This isn't about caring less. It's about not spending 2 weeks of energy on a question you can't answer when there are real things you can do instead. First question, is this actually in my control right now? Will my son be safe without adult supervision? Not in my control. You can't act on it. You can only spiral in it. Will that project go to someone else? Same thing. Not in my control. Second move, shift the energy to what is, not will he be safe. Can't guarantee that. But does he know what to do if something goes wrong? Does he have a way to reach me? That's yours. Not will I get passed over? You don't have the decision-making power. But have I made my work visible? Have I said what I want? That's yours. Remember the phone story? I spent 2 weeks spiraling before I landed on getting him a phone. The sort activity would have gotten me to the same answer in about 30 seconds. Same decision without the 2 weeks of emotional tax. You can't stop the math from running. You can choose which numbers it's allowed to work with. You didn't do anything wrong this summer. You rested. You actually did that part right. The leak was never about how well you recovered. It's about a hypervigilant mind that doesn't know how to sit still in uncertainty. At home, wondering if he's safe without adult supervision. At work, wondering if you're about to lose something you've earned. Running the math on things you can't control because it feels like you're actually doing something. But you get to choose which numbers it works with. Not will he be safe? Does he have a way to reach me? Not will I get passed over? Have I said what I want? That's not less caring. That's where your energy is actually allowed to make a difference. If something's telling you to act, act. This is for the spiraling that has no action attached to it, just repetition. If you're ready to stop carrying this alone, come join Ambitious and Well, where overwhelmed working parents start becoming energized leaders. It's free, and the link is in the description. I'd love to see you inside. Thanks for being here with me today. I'll see you in the next video.